Good morning, y'all. I just woke up. Um, but I just been feeling compelled lately to make a video about crystals because I know a lot of people know that I'm all into them, but I don't think they understand why. So instead of really trying to get nerdy with y'all and explain it, I guess I just wanted to tell my story and how I got involved with those. So when I had my daughter, I was going through a lot in my life. Her father, he left me. He promised one thing, did another, hasn't been around. And so at that time, I was an emotional wreck. I was pregnant, and by the time I had her is when I really tried this stuff. But I was just overrun with fear, depression, anxiety, and I was very unstable, to be completely honest, and an emotional wreck. So one night, after I put my brand new baby to sleep, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I came across a sign, like a little meme, whatever they call them nowadays, a little picture, and it said, "Don't forget to cleanse and charge your crystals under the full moon." And crystals, by that point I had realized the repeating pattern that crystals had been reoccurring in my life for a while. But I never really thought of them as anything other than a rock, beautiful rock. As a child, my grandparents would take us to these mineral museums. We would get little crystals and we would play with them, my brother and I. As I continued growing, they would just here and there reoccur in my life. In high school, my really good friend Jessie gave me a bunch as a birthday present. And even my daughter's biological father, I was exposed to crystals even as quickly as before I gave birth. But again, I was not spiritually involved at all. I was actually very overrun with fear and, like I said, pretty unstable. So I was curious. By this point, I was seeking more in life. I was at the lowest spot I had been thus far, and I was looking for a way out. And truthfully, I started exploring crystals, hoping that they would just be a quick fix, and I was so open-minded, I didn't care if a rock was going to help me do it or not. And I promise you, crystals are not a quick fix at all. They're not going to smooth over all your problems, but they will help you get there on your own and with their help. So I was curious about what cleansing and charging meant, so that night I researched it and realized, oh, that sounds easy. Full moon's out right now. So I gathered the minerals that I had been given from my friend. I cleansed them, I charged them, and by that point in my life I was also exploring the human energy system, the chakras, and meditation. And so I cleansed them, I charged the crystals, and I put them in my left receiving hand. That's our receiving hand for energy. It differs, I guess, depending on what hand you write with. And I meditated with it, and I learned that I could feel their energy. I can feel them physically on my hand, their energy pulsing sometimes. Sometimes it's cool feeling, sometimes it's heat, like hot. Other times it's just, I don't know how to describe it. That's a good way, right? But I learned that through asking them questions and actually looking at these minerals as a form of life, that they could really answer questions to me. They would show me what areas of the body their energy would be beneficial towards, whether it would be mental, emotional. I wouldn't know it was an emotional crystal until carrying it with me and seeing all of my emotions surface in front of my face. But I learned that I could feel energy, and from that point on, I wanted to know more. I wanted to know why. Why don't people know about this stuff? Why not? Upon further research, I actually learned that crystals are in all of our lives all the time, and nobody has any idea. Very first computer was actually a massive clear quartz point, and that's because science knows that we can store memory on them. Crystals, that's right, the rocks that everyone likes to make fun of, just because people are into them. Yeah, they store memory. If you have frizzy hair and a hairdryer, ladies, and your hairdryer is an anti-frizz hairdryer, your hairdryer has black tourmaline crystals in it. There are liquid crystals, there are crystals in phones, there are crystals, like I said, in computers, watches. They're all over. Calcite was the very first magnifying glass because it magnifies things. And so I just learned that these things are strewn within our society, and people have no idea. And so I like to stray towards places that most people don't. And so that's kind of in my crystal journey. A lot of crystals for me, it's not even for me. They're just more stable. Our human bodies, our energy is always changing. Always, we've got a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body within us. And because of all of these things, our energy is always fluctuating. Crystals, when they begin to grow, and they are a form of life, and they are a form of consciousness, crystals have a repeating geometrical pattern within them. You'll see some crystals like calcite and fluorite, and there's other ones that I don't feel like listing, that form in cubes, pyrite. There's some of them that form in just points, like our quartz family. And there are some that are geodes, and on the inside it's like a beautiful pattern, yada yada. But these crystals and minerals, not all of them are considered crystals. Some of the rocks are amazing. But they have these repeating geometrical patterns, which is really kind of the secret code of the universe. You can find it all over in nature. Even we base our society off of these structures. And because of the repeating geometrical patterns in these crystals, it allows their energy to be much more stable. And crystals help hold that frequency. And law of attraction, you cannot exist or come together and stay in a space with something that you cannot match energetically, otherwise you will part. Crystals really help bring in that stable, high frequency into your life. And your energy, as you carry them or wear them, will entrain with the frequency and stable out. Sometimes that means bringing every single horrible scenario, past thing up in front of your face, and you might think, oh my god, this thing is horrible, my days have been sucking. No. This is the crystal's way of bringing these things forth so that you can identify them and so you can release them. Some of them will help edit your thought patterns and just help you see the sunnier side of life so that you're not always so dumpy and negative. And that was my big thing when I first started using crystals, was trying to train my brain to think outside of the box and quit attracting all this horrible stuff to me. So I don't really care if people believe me or not, but I just been feeling compelled to make a video about crystals. I love them like my children. They don't talk back. They help me. They don't make messes. They are like my other children, and I do love them very dearly. And I think that these things could be very valuable tools and assets to people. And I think that if I kind of explain my side of the story, maybe it'll pique your curiosity and make you dig for more. So that's all. That's part of my crystal journey, and I hope it was beneficial to you. Thanks.